Hello, everyone. Here we are again, back at Epic headquarters. It's been a while since we've been here. We haven't been here
Yes.
since the MapCore
Short while.
contest.
Has
Short while. Yeah,
short
it
while.
hasn't been too
Yeah.
bad. Shelly's back from maternity leave. She has a beautiful new baby girl, and we're very happy that she's back here with us. Welcome back, Shells. We have a lot to talk about.
Yep.
Um, First of all, I want to mention Discord. We have probably between 500 and 700 people sitting in our Discord channel every day. You can go there at discord.gg/Unreal Tournament. If you're not there already, come hang out with us. We have Zach in there pretty much every day talking to people. The rest of us are in there sporadically, but everybody's in there chatting. We're adding new features all the time, and we love Discord, and we love to
Or
be able
new
to talk to you.
emojis.
All right, yes, we have our own emojis. We have emoji for Bob. We have a Bob emoji.
Mm.
Yep.
But yeah, we have a good time in there. Pete Nub stops in and trolls everybody. So make sure you stop by and say hi. So community maps. So
Yes.
all the time, a lot,
Mhm.
I'll get messages saying, we need more maps. We need some of these community maps. They're so beautiful. So it's the time has come.
The time has come, yes. So kind of tying in with, the map core contest and the
Mhm.
awesome turnout for that, and we had kind of hinted at, hey, maybe some of these that come out of this, there could be room for potential for adding those to the game, and as it appears, so there was.
Yes. And so
So
there are 5 maps.
5 maps currently, not all necessarily from the map core contest, also just from other people in the
Mhm.
community that have been doing a great job making maps. Um,
And you've been interacting with these guys too?
We've been interacting with these guys quite a bit, so I've been giving them a ton of feedback. We kind of worked on it for quite a while, actually, to get it to this point, and they've all done a great job and, basically getting their map in a ship-ready state and everything. And
And this is another one of the reasons that we've been too busy to do streams.
Mhm.
We've had everybody who's been either tied up in, the programming side of it, the level designers have been working, trying to get these maps in. I mean, because 5 maps, that's a lot of maps. Do we want to talk about now how people can get them, or do we want to wait till the end?
I don't
Well,
know.
so, yeah, I mean, the big thing we're doing today is we're basically announcing these maps, talking about them, and they will be available in our build that will be coming out tomorrow.
Yes.
Because nobody has told me yet that there's.
We have
yes,
our- we
we're,
have
we're,
our
we're
fingers
confident now.
crossed.
Actually, I think it's gonna be a really good build. We're really excited about these new maps, lots of other improvements in the build.
Yes, thank you, Shelley. It's been a while. I know Lynx was waiting for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tomorrow, new build, everything's going to run smoothly, and let's talk about what the maps are. So first of all, we're going to take a look at. Nope, that's good. Polaris.
That's the first map we're adding to the build is going to be CTF Polaris by Payback,
Nice.
which is a
Thank
super
you,
cool,
Payback.
quick, fast-paced, sort of hardcore CTF layout. We've had a ton of fun in our playtests internally with it. He's done a great job dressing it up. I know Rick's been giving him some feedback in the early stages when he was working on this too, so it's seen a ton of love and iteration from a visual standpoint, and it runs really well and smooth, and yeah, super fun, awesome map.
So didn't I play that map at one point before? Was that another version of UT?
As far as I know, no.
I don't know. It just seems so
Would be
familiar.
news to me.
Yeah.
The layout, it's really fun. I think we have a little fly through that may not be working. There it is. It's being choppy again.
Yep, so that's the midfield of the map that we're looking at here. You got a shield belt, some health. 2 layers. This is one of the flag rooms. Flag sitting on the right with an elevator behind it. It's got some cool trap/escape mechanisms in there, some cool lift jumps in the flag room. It's a very streamlined map, and it's fair to say it's a simple map at the premise, but that's kind of what makes it work and makes it
Yep.
fun, that it's not over-designed in that sense. So that also allows it to be really fast-paced, and so 5-on-5s in here are really a blast.
So when he sent this map over the first time, what feedback did you guys give him to
I mean,
make it more playable? Or
only speaking for the gameplay side of things, really, I mean, it's just, things we learn over the years in terms of, hey, this needs to be smoother, you need to make these kind of considerations for how you block this place off, how collision works, etc. Just really sort of like ship list, checklist items of like, hey, how do you wrap something like that up in a package tour, like it's airtight and there's no more, you know.
Yeah, one of the other things that we also invested significantly in was having our QA team
Yep.
vet all these maps. And so with
Many,
that, it's less
many
about
hours of
yeah
testing.
gameplay design suggestions, but more about like them
Yeah, that was kind of the
going
first
through-
phase.
yeah,
And then
yeah, and finding all the issues. I mean, and that's just something that is hugely valuable and something that yeah, I mean, it's a big investment for our team, and we have a small team. So these maps had to meet a pretty high bar for us to think it was worth investing this much effort, and we're really excited to add them to the build.
Yes.
Mhm.
All right. Are you ready for the next one? And nice job, Payback. Thank you very
Yes.
much. I love the map.
And we're glad to have a CTF map in there.
Yes, we are very glad to have a CTFF. Okay, next we have DM Salt.
mm,
Is that correct?
yes.
Yes.
Map number 2 by NATO,
Oh, look at the
Christopher
beauty.
Morris, DM Salt, which people that have been paying attention to the forum will probably be familiar with.
Mhm.
And yep,
And also, if they've been looking at our Facebook page, because I've been posting little
teaser
little
images.
teaser
here and there.
images.
Yep.
I
He
think
made
that was
awesome
one of
use
them.
of the castle set that we added for Titan Pass originally, and kind of turned into an awesome nighttime moody piece. It's a really fun FFA map, also probably suitable for, you know, good 4 and 4 TDMs and stuff like that,
Mhm.
if people are looking for that sort of thing. Got a really awesome shield belt interaction with some lift jumps and stuff, like cool room designs, and it looks and runs amazing. So
And
awesome
it's
job, NATO.
kind of a throwback with that castle theme. I
Yeah.
love it. Didn't we play this one early on in development?
we playtested a bunch of these over at various different points in their development. Kind of peeked in, checked them out, because I mean, whenever there's some things popping up that pique our interest, we tend to like kind of collect those up and then kind of try and check them out in a huge ball of stuff at the same time. Kind of always, you know, keep in touch with what's in there, what's out there.
So looking at this map, how how beautiful it is, and the last map as well, they look like they'd be very intense to play, but they run really well. They're really
Well, they are intense to play, but
well. I mean as far as
Yeah.
as GPU usage, but they run really smooth and everything.
for the most part, yeah, I think they've done a pretty good job getting them to run. I mean, there's going to be probably a little bit more variance in there, you know, depending. But
Mhm.
again, too, these maps aren't like, you know, we wanted them to be up at a shippable quality, but it doesn't mean they're cut off from iteration or anything like that. So, kind of, I mean, the purpose of this is that, you know, the authors can maintain their map, take them back, and make changes or react to any sort of feedback in the wild
Feedback.
if they want to. If they don't want to, that's fine as well. But that exists, that possibility exists, and you know, people can.
Awesome.
The maps are just as much a livable product as the game is as a whole. So
Awesome. Next we have Backspace.
Or Batrankus.
Oh, well, I blew that one, didn't I?
oops.
No, everybody knows. Okay. Next is Batrankets.
No, she was hitting back.
Yes. Hey, it's been a while. I'm not good at this yet.
So this is Batrankers by. Yeah,
Glector.
Oscar Grego, the G-Lector, the Glector.
It's a beautiful
Um,
map.
This is gorgeous.
This was one of the maps also from the Showdown competition. I mean the map core contest, and probably say this one was the one that felt the most like it had a lot of really well thought out scenarios specifically for Showdown, and very intense battles. But on the flip side, also it had it's a very polarizing map because it's super fun, but it's also super vertical. So if you're into that kind of flavor, that's
Yeah,
really amazing.
playing this against
Like
Stu
I love
isn't
that kind of
fun.
map
Yeah.
personally. But you know, there's Pits of Death in there, so it's got some of that old school UT in there too, with just, you know, being
Yes.
risky to play. It has a cool central area that you can kind of traverse around with jump boots, but it's high risk because there's, you know, spiky Pits of Death and stuff like that.
Which is cool.
Um,
The other thing about this, I mean, this map also I think is really cool in how visually unique it looks, and it's
Yeah.
also the map. I mean, it's got just so many great screenshot locations that are just really like stand out. It's a
Yeah, it's
it was a lot of
really
fun to
beautiful.
play.
yeah, the cylindrical hub design here works really well, especially for Showdown. It works well as well.
I'm excited for
Um,
Victor to get his screenshots going in this one. It's so pretty.
Who's done all these amazing fly-throughs?
The fly-throughs were done by Zacubus.
Hmm?
He's getting kind of good at that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's also done some cool little trailers to
Yep.
show off these maps that we'll be releasing, I guess, at the same time as the build tomorrow.
Yeah, so when we're done with the stream today, we have some more things coming up.
Yeah.
But when we're done, we're going to have a little promo video that he
Cool.
did that we'll share with everybody. Okay.
So next up,
Now it's time for Backspace.
DM Backspace by Ben Edney, also known as
Sinbad.
Sinbad. That's actually,
Flykubus.
I think he originally made that map for 2K4, I believe. So he's a remake of his own map,
Mhm.
essentially. It's a really fun, fast-paced layout. It plays well in duo, as well as crazy FFAs. We did a bunch of crazy FFAs on that map.
Oh yeah, we had a lot of fun playing this
Yeah.
one.
It's
Much swearing was.
He's also
going
going
on.
with a nighttime theme here, and I think like both him and Nate did a great job actually kind of squeezing some nice visual variants out of that compared to the stuff that we have in our maps with this whole set. So
Mhm.
it feels different and fresh and has a kind of different appeal to it. Done a really great job lighting this thing too. It feels very moody. He kind of went into after, he had done various iterations of the visuals on his map too, and after our art guys released the Titan Pass update, he went in and kind of, brought some of that stuff up to parity a little bit too, took out some inspiration from little technical tricks and stuff that they did in there and added that in here as well. So really got a nice amount of, spit and polish on it. It's in a
Yeah, it's
really great state. It's
So
a pretty
pretty.
map and it's really fun to play.
Yeah, this is absolutely a fun FFA map because there's so many places where you can just, camp in the one area and then they 5 people coming at you from different places and everything. So it's
Yeah.
a lot of fun.
It's also very, very vertical.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, you think you're safe and then somebody drops down on your head and you're dead. But yeah, nice job on this one, Sinbad. It's really pretty. And next,
Last but not least.
last but not least, definitely not least, we have Unsaved. I'm not even going to attempt his forum name. Here's the Arch.
Matthew Beal.
That's easier. That's definitely easier.
Yep, and that's kind of the map that sort
Well,
of
the name Unsaved.
Yes.
That was a little confusing at first.
Yeah, he's a guy that's showed up in the forums and started producing all kinds of awesome
Yep.
shells. He's been focusing a lot of like DM, FFA, TDM, one-on-one kind of shells. He has a very old school aesthetic, but super thorough, insane build quality and very polished feel in everything that he does. And we were super impressed with this map when we saw it. And this was the winner
Right.
of our map core contest. Well, not our map core contest, but the map core
The map
contest.
code, yes.
Um,
So this one had some little interesting tricks and stuff that you can do, and people really enjoyed playing this
Yep,
one.
there's a nice hidden keg in there as well. And he's done a really cool job of just kind of taking symmetrical elements and making them feel asymmetrical, and that's sort of like the language that flows through all the different rooms, and it really it straddles that line very nicely between being very gameplay capable, but also having lots of detail to appreciate, and just kind of putting that in the right spots and not being overbearing with it. And very excited too about seeing what else he comes up with in the future.
Some nice
'cause
iconic shots too.
He's been pumping out stuff, and he's doing an amazing job with it. So
What changes has he made since the end of the contest?
just some polish and bug fixing really, and minor feedback here and there. But this was in a pretty
Good
almost
place.
ready to go state when he submitted it to the contest. So yeah, I mean, we still had a few back and forth of just like here's a list of simple kind of feedback, some of it objective, some subjective. What do you think? That's kind of the
Mhm.
process that all the maps went through. Where it was literally like pages of stuff, sometimes with just like images. Hey, what if? And
Yeah.
some of that is more suggestive. Other things are more like, hey, should be careful with that. Whatever. I mean, that's kind of generally how it goes.
So pretty. And I'm so excited that people are going to be able to play these tomorrow. And we don't have to hear any more. We don't have any community maps in because we just dropped the bomb on everybody with a ton of maps, and they're going to be available in the marketplace. And
Yeah, we appreciate all the hard work these guys did
Yeah.
to make this happen. Yeah, so these maps are going to be in the marketplace, but we've also done some work to make it really easy to find the map. So it's not something that you have to discover. When you go into create a match or join a match or the map vote, it will show those maps even if you don't have if you don't have the rights to them yet. If you click on them, you can click on them. It's got a lock symbol, and it'll ask you if you want to go to the marketplace and get the entitlement. The maps are free. So this is just, again, kind of exercising our systems for getting people back and forth between the marketplace and the game, which is part of just the development process of figuring out how that's going to work, and continuing to refine that, and then also that way it highlights that these are maps that were created by these guys. We get to highlight them in the marketplace and give them credit for the awesome work they've done.
We've also actually made it a little bit more apparent what is a community map and what
Yeah.
isn't. So they have different border styles now for our ship maps versus community ship
Yeah.
maps versus work in progress shells, and they also sort differently now, so that the community mesh maps will show up right next to our mesh
Yeah.
maps and not sort at the back or whatever behind work in progress shells and all
Yeah.
that stuff. So we
And
clean all
that's
that up
super
to
important.
Yeah.
highlight that a bit more
Yeah,
and just push
for
it to
sure.
the forefront. So
Yeah, because that's another thing that people said. That you have these nice maps, but I can't seem to find them.
Mhm.
So this is going to make things a lot easier for
Right.
people to find the content that they want. Really excited for the servers. Are servers going to have these maps on tomorrow?
Yep.
I believe our hubs will have them
yeah.
once the build gets out there. Yeah.
Awesome. So tomorrow's the day, guys. What we're going to do next is we're going to talk a little bit about the last build. You guys had a whole bunch of questions for us, and we haven't been doing a lot of streams, and you were wondering why we made some decisions. We posted this on the forums, but we know a lot of you don't either don't go on the forums or you're sitting in Discord, and so we already answered these questions on the forums, but Steve's going to talk about them a little bit now, maybe a little bit more in depth. Things like first the impact hammer.
Yeah.
Why did we remove the impact hammer?
So yeah, I mean we're trying right now to experiment with some more kind of challenging decisions and really challenge our assumptions about the game in the name of really streamlining it and finding a very focused gameplay that is accessible to new players and is still very much Unreal Tournament. So the problems we saw with the impact hammer are one, with new players, it's very unintuitive what it does. You see people running around trying to shoot it like a ranged weapon. So obviously stuff the issues there that could be solved through through improving the weapon itself and the effects. And it's still something, and that's something that we're thinking about revisiting at some point. But we didn't really know how to solve the problems well enough to really make it accessible to new players at this point. The most important thing that we didn't want to lose from the impact hammer was the mobility. So another thing we've been thinking about at the same time is, like with the new grenade launcher, I'm trying to add some nice grenade jumping abilities and kind of balance that in the same way as the impact hammer was balanced. We don't think we're all the way there yet, and that's why at this point what we've done is removed it from our new flag run game mode and from free for all, which is what we expect new players to first experience. But we're leaving it in the other game modes until we're confident that we've got the movement, kind of replacing that movement functionality that's really important in those game modes.
Yep, so it didn't get killed. We're basically just putting it on ice in those modes for
Yep.
future duration, right?
Yep.
Link gun.
So the link gun, the overheat was added for several reasons. One, of course, is just as a balancing mechanism. Another is what we didn't like about the link gun is when people just used it basically as a quarter spam weapon, and it's still obviously kind of. I mean,
have
that's
done that.
it's a suppression weapon, so that's kind of is this functionality. So we're not trying to get rid of that entirely, but we're trying to make that functionality more interesting and more tactical to use. So by having the cooldown, it means that you just don't just blindly spray down the quarter and not worry about what you're doing. You're having to time it based on when you think your enemy's going to pop his head back out, and kind of it gives you a little bit more interesting dynamics when you're
It's kind of like
interacting with
thinking
it.
of a bullet hell shooter or something, and
Yeah.
thinking of a continuous stream of fire coming out of a ship versus just like bursts,
Yeah.
and giving cadence and pacing to the whole
Yeah.
thing, so you can kind
Yeah.
of gauge an opportunity to kind of sneak through or slip or dodge or whatever, right? Like
Yeah.
just make it more interesting than just a continuous
Yeah.
beam of stuff. And so far, I mean, who knows if that is gonna stick the way it does, right? But
Yeah.
it's worked out really well so far, and then kind of, people, once they get used to it, actually start changing their behavior. It's still
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
lethal if you use it right. If anything, it has a little bit of a skill curve to it now on how to use it effectively.
Well,
which is-
we would have people who, would just go in and just spam it in
Yeah.
flag run, especially when they first came out, and it's like, oh, I got a kill. And usually when you have those I have a kill moments every once in a while, it's okay, but it happens a lot when you were able to spam it. So I think it's probably a
Yeah.
pretty good idea that.
Yeah, another thing that we've removed from the link gun right now is the linking to teammates. A couple of reasons for that. It was a kind of a difficult to discover mechanic that wasn't well balanced because it wasn't used consistently in playtests, either by us or we didn't see it used very much in the community. There's some situations where it might be very overpowered. It wasn't that much fun to actually use because basically everybody except one player is just kind of sitting there trying to point it at another player's back. And also sometimes it was really annoying when you were not intending to link to your teammate and
Right.
you were accidentally getting linked. So again, in the interest of kind of streamlining the functionality of all these weapons down to what is the key functionality that is really important to, and then focusing first on making that functionality as clear and easy to use as possible, we've gotten rid of that for now. Another big change in the link gun since this update, and this is still a mechanic that we're experimenting with, but it's the link pull. And so again, with the goal of streamlining, what we've done is change the link pull from being a press primary fire while you're holding alt fire. Instead, it's if you've held the link pull, your link beam on someone for a quarter of a second, then release will automatically engage the link pull. We find, generally at this point, probably that timing is actually probably too long right now, and it's actually something we're interested in feedback from you guys with the build of what how it feels. But it's certainly not something then that you're going to get link pulls by accident. You're not going to get link pulls when you were just meaning to switch between fire modes. So we think it's a good change, but it's probably not where it needs to be yet. And also, I guess I'd say it's a feature that's still open to
yes.
Yeah.
Iteration, interpretation.
Yes, and potentially removal
Yeah.
if it doesn't work out. But we think there's some cool uses for it. So we're still trying to make
with
it
the right trade-offs.
yeah.
It's cool to have different utility that is.
Yeah.
So are we looking at renaming it back to the pulse rifle, or is that something that is just a thought right now?
Possibly, yeah. I think if we don't have any linking functionality, then
why
it probably makes sense to think about a different name for it. I think another. You did talk about that. Sorry, I'll let you go in order.
That's okay. I tend to go out of order anyway. The death cam. So there were some people said that they were having some problems with
Yeah.
the death cam.
Yeah, so DeathCam is very early. The implementation that you got in the last build was extremely early. I think it had been in for just a couple of days before we released that build. It's still very rough right now. I have made some improvements to it based on feedback from the community, but certainly would not in any way say it's anywhere near where we want it to be. We think the functionality is going to be really valuable once we get it right in terms of understanding who killed you and from where, but it certainly is going to have some growing pains. It's going to be rough. It's a little bit, we try to improve some of the issues with, sudden quick zoom and stuff like that, but it's still not perfect, and there's still situations where it doesn't work well in. So you bear with us. We're going to keep working on it.
Look away. Why do you die? The translocator. There were some key binding issues, but those have been worked out, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Should be fixed. I
Okay.
think that's an easy.
That's an easy one.
Yeah.
Grenade launcher. So there's a lot to talk about
let-
here.
Yeah, so similar with the DeathCam thing, the version of the grenade launcher that actually made it out into the last build was just in no way hey, I think this is at a good spot where I'd actually want to test how well this
Done.
is working. It was a very rough snapshot of something that was in the process of changing quite a lot. So it actually does not charge any grenades anymore. It just has a single fire on the alt fire now.
Right.
It's actually been brought somewhat more in line with, not quite, but almost the power of the rocket launcher in terms of damage. It's a little bit more of a heavy hitter now. Has a little bit of a slower cadence, a little bit more gravity. It feels a little bit more thunky and heavy and not so much, floaty, bouncy projectile. The remote dead functionality is much more direct and quick and fun now that it's a single shot as well. It's almost like a little, mini arced airburst combo that you can sort of trigger directly. Nowhere near as lethal or anything like that, obviously, but it kind of allows for more of a, you can try and go fishing for people with it. You can try and anticipate. You can also much more reliably now use the mobility aspect of the sticky, which was a huge part of the reason for changing it as well. Because initially the idea was that, oh, it's actually kind of neat that you have 5 grenades and they all do little bits of damage and add up to a total amount of momentum, and then
Yeah.
you can choose, oh, I'm putting 2 down, it'll get me this far and take this much health, and oh, maybe I can take 3, it'll get me really far, but it'll be super, and it just didn't, that just wasn't fun. So
Yeah.
it just was too much to manage, prepare, and really what you want to be able to do is use that in a pinch, and so that's what we landed on with this current implementation.
Yeah, and if you've been
Oh.
following, I mean, I guess it used to be called the bio launcher. I mean, there's certainly been a lot of iteration and
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
think that's one of the things to understand and to be patient with the process is we'll try something and sometimes I mean occasionally it works really well right away. A lot of times we see some promise but it needs some improvements, or we want to stay with it, stay with something new for a little while and keep iterating on making it easier to read or whatever before we change it. So these changes just take a while. Like we'll make a weapon change and kind of sit on it for a week or so to really understand how people are interacting with it before we
And
change it again.
Those
And
changes have been quite drastic when
Yeah.
when it's actually making them. It's just
Yeah.
more like, you want to make sure that you're not making decisions based on your own bias,
Yeah.
and try as much as possible at least to see how it naturally sort of
Yeah.
behaves in playtests and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And
Yeah, and the discussions that go on, online, they go on in our own office too.
Yeah.
So
it's also had a ton of different sound tweaks, and like it generally just feels more
Yeah.
like its own thing now, and just to clarify too, the bio launcher does not exist anymore. The grenade launcher is not a thing. The bio rifle is completely unaffected by all of this.
Yeah,
Bio
it's
rifle is its
completely
own
different.
gun.
Yep.
Which
is
may
there a
actually be
learning curve from the last?
a talking point of this anyways. Did I just steal a talking point?
Yeah.
I
Is
think I
there
did.
is there any changes that any learning curve from the last update
oh,
to
it's
now?
very different. Yeah.
Yeah. The kind of the arc behaves slightly different and everything. The speed of the projectile is still the same, but I don't know. I mean, some people didn't even notice that some of those
Yeah.
things change either, so it'll
Yeah.
probably not be
Well, just make sure that you give it a try for a while and mess around with it and see what you can do and see what you can pull off with it, because there's some amazing things that happen with that weapon. So it's pretty cool.
that. We've seen some, good and evil things.
Good and evil things. The Enforcer model,
Yes.
we had an update on that.
Yeah, so we have new Enforcer model. It was created by our the hard surface modeler that we have on our team.
James
who's
Kincaid.
Fantastic.
Yep,
So
James
this
is
was
badass.
just getting him used to the weapon workflow and figuring out stuff. And we also just wanted to update that model again. We had a cool concept that we thought would be really nice to implement. So yeah.
And the respawn time. Have we made any changes
So
there
it's
at
back
all?
down to 2 seconds.
So we
oh,
did make the changes
yep.
that we talked about.
Yep. So.
And warm-up mode.
I mean, I think it's great. It's still a little bit rough around the edges sometimes, but we've been making some fixes to it, and
Yeah,
it
so
certainly is a great
I think
mode for.
Having it has been a net benefit across the board, and it depends on the scenario sometimes too, right? Like, I mean, in say like our playtest or like
Yeah.
expected assumed ranked match scenarios or match, like it's awesome when you know that a certain amount of people are going to be joining and playing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe that will be different in just like a casual
Yeah.
quick match kind of scenario, right? Like who knows? And the actual details of how you enter or exit warm-up mode or
Yeah.
all interact with that's all TBD, right? And that's
Yeah, the main things that are hard to figure out now, and I've done some experiments but not really happy, is when people are in warm up, I mean, they're effectively ready, but at what point, do we decide that there's enough people that have joined? Like, you might be in warm up but not really want to start the match until there's a full 10 people, or you might be like at this, and it's hard for us to understand the player intent or the player desires, and figure out the right timings for, and the 10th person joins and they ready up. Do we start it right away because everybody is in warm up is theoretically ready, or do we? So there's a lot of details with the transitions and understanding and allowing players to express their desire in terms of how, when you transition into the actual match, that we still need to refine. And we made a few improvements in this build, but I wouldn't say it's in a good place
there's
yet.
a bunch of different approaches that different games have taken in
Yeah.
the past to this sort of thing too, that some have worked well, some haven't, and there's definitely inspiration to be had from some of
Yeah.
those as well, right? Like the casual example may just mean, hey, it just auto starts after a minute regardless. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just
Yeah.
more of a dragnet of giving everybody a chance to accumulate, but you're sort of expecting that the whole 10 people are rolling into this match anyways
Yeah.
from the previous match.
And that's what it kind of does now. It just
yeah.
has some kind of, I'm not sure that the timings are right, and then there's messaging and
Yeah.
things. So there's a lot of work to do still in terms of the transitions, but I think the having warm up, I don't know that anybody would say it's a bad thing.
Yeah.
It's a very nice feature to have when you're waiting
Yep.
for a match to start. So.
For sure. We probably should have covered this when we did grenades, but how about the rocket launcher grenades?
So again, in our two things is our goal of streamlining the weapons and simplifying their functionality, and also, I mean, the rocket launcher. The problem was it was so much of a Swiss Army knife in terms of functionality, and
So
it's
many
already a very
different
powerful
things.
weapon. I mean, rockets are high damage, pretty high speed, big radius, and so we felt like splitting out the functionality into the grenade launcher allowed us to have two weapons that were very straightforward, especially for new players to use, and simplified like give each weapon a more clear role and not and less of a one size fits all kind of approach. And so I think it's. I mean, we're happy with the.
I'm personally a little sad to see it go too. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
but in the benefit or for the benefit of the game,
I still keep
it was like
using them.
the
even
right
though they're
call
not there.
because I mean, I always loved laying out carpets for people that chase you or down elevators or something. It was a very unique application for that scenario, but especially in Flag Run, it just meant you could basically load up, fire rockets down a hallway, or like
Yeah.
cover a certain area. Also throw 3 grenades down this other hallway. Like you didn't even have to switch to basically be a super effective defensive machine all
Right.
the time.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean, whether
and
Flag Run or even other
yeah.
modes, the same thing,
And
right? You're
now also like we actually have a lob weapon now that bounces, that is has that own verbiage, that own language, effectively, as opposed to sort of the grenades on the rocket were always more like I said, like a carpet of like clink clink stuff that plunked out in front of you, but didn't really like travel or arc or bounce. Like it was never designed like that. So
it was very random in how it bounced. Like it didn't
Yeah.
feel like the
It's
the
air
person
denial.
firing the grenades wasn't really aiming, and
Right.
the person getting hit didn't like it wasn't really clear how do you avoid them, and it was
It's more
Mhm.
predictive
yeah.
air denial / spam really, and
Yeah.
not so much actual like tactical hit sort of
Yeah.
thing.
it feels a lot more intentional and fun when you hit somebody with the rocket with the grenade launcher grenades than the rocket launcher grenades. The other change that we've made in this build since we had this this forum post is now the rocket lock-on functionality, which is also something that we're kind of trying to figure out where it's going to go. Is we've changed that to we've got a lot more clear icons on the HUD for when you're in the process of locking on, have a lock on, and also when you have an in-flight rocket that's locked on, we have an in-HUD icon, so it's easier to understand what's going on. And then at the same time, the other thing we did is moved the lock-on mechanism to only work when you're alt-loading up rockets, so you don't get the accidental lock-ons when you're trying to primary fire, and so it only loads up. It locks on faster than it used to. It only takes half a second, but only if you're aiming at somebody while loading alt-fire rockets. And then the other thing, and then last change is that seeking rockets
Last but not least,
now travel a little bit slower than regular rockets.
which makes me very sad.
And actually it means they seek better. So it's not that noticeable a difference in speed. I mean, if you don't want the seeking, then don't.
I love this.
It actually improves their seeking
It's my little
ability
aimbot.
because it allows them to curve a little bit more, going at somebody. And then also, although I'm not sure that Q has verified this, the nose of the rocket should flash if it's a seeking rocket, so it's easy to tell as a target that you need to behave differently in terms of how to get out of the way of the rocket.
And we have a new armor system.
So the idea here with streamlining the armor system is that like basically armor all stacks. All armor other than the shield belt just stacks to 100. There's no like, oh, you can stack small armor on top of small armor. All armor, and so now you really only have to understand one number. Before, under the covers, we had this complicated system where different armors and different mixes of armors had different armor absorption, and really how much, like that number by itself wasn't enough to tell you what your real armor state was. And now that one armor number is consistent regardless of how you've gotten it. If you have above 100 armor, then you can get 100% absorption, so it's basically almost like extra health. If you're below 100 armor, it's 50% absorption, and so you do have to worry about how much health you have. The other thing that's changed since this forum post and since the last build is we have new placeholder meshes for the armor. Don't judge these as, wow, these look kind of out of place for Unreal Tournament Universe. These aren't designed as what we think the armor should look like. We just wanted to make sure that they were easily distinguishable. We didn't feel like the placeholders we had before, that it was easy to distinguish between the small and the medium.
And they had legacy associations with different functionality as well,
Yeah.
right? So
Yeah. So now the new meshes are just meant to make it easier for for prototype gameplay.
Yeah, and those are going to change.
Yeah, so like the helmet doesn't have headshot absorption anymore because technically
Yeah.
any sort of armor that protects you from a headshot now gives that same feedback,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
So that's all kind of streamlined in that fashion.
All right, Stinger secondary. Do we have we had some changes on that?
Yes. Oh, now you're.
But did I miss something?
No. You're in the right place.
No,
I
it's
was
on
on the
there.
wrong.
Oh,
Um,
phew,
So
I thought I
this is
did
another
again.
functionality we're firing with. We're experimenting with. The idea is to make this a relatively low damage, easy to aim suppression weapon. That's, it's really targeted more, especially at more beginner players that don't have good long range aiming capabilities, just to give them a way to be somewhat effective. It's pretty easy to avoid, but it's also, it's still something that we're experimenting with. I'm not sure
To be-
Sydney's a huge
I'm
fan
not,
of
I'm
this
not,
mode.
I'm not the big, I'm not the biggest
Well, it's
fan
been
myself.
kind of
Yeah.
all over the place.
But at the same time, I guess for me, the thing that's nice about it is it doesn't feel, it feels like it's, if you want to use it, it's reasonably effective as what it's supposed to do, but it doesn't feel that terrible to be used on you. So
Maybe
Yeah.
not. A lot of those
Yeah.
things also, and again, like a lot of things we don't all necessarily agree on internally, right?
Yep.
All these things,
Yep.
whatever, it's just part of it. A lot of the things will come down to how will we actually be able to maintain a functionality like this, effectively communicate it
Yeah.
visually without turning it into noise, or
Yeah.
how does
Mhm.
all that stuff work? There's a lot of stuff to be figured out how this could, be a valid functionality or not.
So I mean, at this point, I'd say it's an interesting experiment. We're not sure whether it's going to end up there, and yeah, we'll see. Play around with it, give us your feedback. We're going to continue playing with it and see how it fits going forward.
And are the shock sounds going to change at all?
I think so. I think Max Carnage updated them since the last build.
Yep.
He's
Yeah,
in
he
the-
did listen to.
He,
I
he's-
know
he
he's-
was on Discord before the stream started, so I'm sure he's still now. So you should probably ask him what's going on with that. So Max has been doing a lot of sound work for us now, and we've also
we brought him out here for a little while too.
Yeah.
and-
I've also done a little bit more work on the sound system. So like we finally fixed enemy footsteps. So now
Oh
you-
my god, the footsteps are amazing now. They're useful. Like
Yeah.
Yep.
every playtest, there's actually scenarios of, if you have you don't even need a relatively quiet moment, and it just happens that you hear footsteps, and you can check and you see a friendly carrot or not, and it'll actually be valid information and useful information. And I guess
So what we're trying to do, so actually, and with the footsteps, and this is where it's kind of hard to figure out the right balance, is that it's part of the system where we're using game information to custom amplify or reduce this volume of sounds. So we actually amplify enemy footsteps more. We amplify enemy footsteps if they're behind you more. So we're trying to figure out like what are the right ways to make the sound cues give you important game information when you need it. And so now, like an enemy footsteps behind you, you really notice it when
Yes.
you
yeah,
need to
it's
notice
super
it.
noticeable.
Yeah.
It's great.
So, but at the same time, what you don't want to hear is if they were always at that amplitude, and your teammates were the same, then you'd be hearing 20 footsteps around you, constantly, and it'd not be useful. So,
Yep.
it's a system that still needs a lot of work and
But it's
refinement,
so
but it's
much
very
better.
powerful when it works. And so, we're really excited about the potential of the direction we're going now.
And we already talked about the bio rifle not going away, but we
I
didn't
guess
talk about.
Part of that is Kazuo, the guy who made the awesome flat cannon, has been working on a version of the bio rifle that
Yeah.
James has been working with him on getting
Yep.
it into the game, and so that is going to be the bio rifle in UT. Right
So
now.
that's super cool. I mean,
Yeah.
to have a community guy who, we took him out to GDC. Was it last year or the year before
Yep. Yeah.
last? And
He
he's
was
just been such a
awesome. He
part
was-
of the development of this. It's been really,
Yeah.
been
he's
really
a
fantastic.
machine. He has a awesome attitude. Is super positive. Like
Yeah.
he was a great force to have there, and just overall amazing, nice guy.
And we made him lose his voice so he couldn't, he couldn't talk. But yeah, he's doing a fantastic job. He's also done some other things. I just changed the Facebook picture that we have of his Titan
Yeah.
that he's
Mhm.
done and everything. So he's done some really cool, fun stuff. He made the monster thread and everything. So we love Casio Hin. Elimination mod. What do we think about that?
So that's a really great mod. I think they've done a great job of building it,
Yep.
polishing it to where it's really a fun and useful game mode. We talked to them about including it on the official hubs. The problem, and kind of the limitation when a community mod or anything gets included with the official build is that the cadence of updates has to slow to our cadence of updates. And so the authors decided at this point that they'd rather keep it separate and keep iterating on it, but we're really excited about it. We're happy, really interested in supporting them and however we can help make it successful. We think this is really great. This kind of iteration
Yep.
and really taking a game mode all the way to a final really playable state is super valuable, and it's the kind of thing that we want to see the community doing, and we're really
And that
excited.
was Scoob's idea that,
Yeah.
that he wanted to be able to iterate on as much as
Right.
he
Yeah.
he could. So because he really enjoys doing it, and everybody really seems to love it. So we're really excited about it. The reticle, we have the
Oh,
the
actually,
reticle that-
so that should be addressed somewhat in this build. So in the last build, what we did is we added, so we kind of fixed the problem of before, when you shot a projectile weapon, the projectiles, because they were coming out of the muzzle of your gun, weren't actually going down to your crosshair. They basically would hit your crosshair at infinity. So now we fixed that problem by actually, the projectile goes down, but we actually start the visual display of the projectile off a little bit and then merge it into. So that way you don't have this projectile blocking the center of your screen, but at the same time it's going to hit exactly
Awesome.
where you want it to hit. The problem that this was describing was that we also had that turned on for hidden weapons, so it felt very strange because the projectiles were coming from the side. So that's fixed now, so now they don't come from the side anymore, and so hopefully there's no more issues
And
with that.
A few weapons also have a turn on now, like the grenade launcher didn't have it on
Yeah.
before, so that kind of felt like it was coming out of set and weird.
Yeah.
So
anything else coming in the new build that we need to
Lots of there's a lot. Actually, if
We'll
you
have
want to
build
peek at
notes.
if you want to peek at the build notes, the wiki build notes are already
Sneaky,
on
sneaky.
the wiki, so you can get an early peek. Lots of work on trying to polish the HUD and kind of clean it up a little bit in terms of removing unneeded text, reducing font sizes, kind of scaling it down, making it feel less overscaled than it was before.
flag run updates.
Flag run is updated. It's getting closer to a point where we really are ready for people to play with it, but it's not something that we're really pushing people towards yet. We still want to do a little bit more work on it, but we're excited about the direction we're going with that. And and the new maps. That's the big thing. in
That's
new
the
build,
big
yeah.
thing. That's
Yeah.
going to be fun. It's going to be fun playing with the community tomorrow. So try to get some of us guys to jump in with you guys and play tomorrow.
yeah, again, amazing job to everybody and all
Yeah.
involved.
Congra-
and
congratulations,
thanks to everybody
guys.
helping out in the process.
Yeah.
It's super awesome to see the work in the game. It feels like it's getting so cohesive now. So it's really cool.
Yeah.
I also said that we're going to have an announcement, but you're going to have to wait till tomorrow. So make sure that you tune in tomorrow, the Unreal Engine stream, which is at 3 p.m.
Yes.
3 p.m.
Wait, no.
No, 2 p.m. 2.
2 p.m. Eastern time.
I will post.
Guys who messed up the time. They got me all
Eastern Standard Time, not daylight savings.
Yeah, I'll make sure that I post the time tomorrow. But we have a really cool announcement tomorrow, and I will be on the Unreal Engine stream with Chance, and we'll have some cool stuff to talk to you guys
It'll
about.
be quite cool.
Very cool. Probably one of the coolest.
Pretty
things.
cool. Yeah. Pretty cool.
And I think that's all we have for this
Cool.
time. We'll do this again soon-ish.
Yes. Yep, we're
Ish. It's a definite ish. Even Zach said that maybe he might just come on and answer some questions soon.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
we'll hold him to that. You can behold the beard. It's gotten
We can
very
do like
beardy.
a between two ferns.
Yeah. Yes, he's one of the first. No,
Yeah.
just kidding, Zach. All right, guys. It was very nice to talk to you again, and we'll see you soon.
thanks a lot.
So yeah.